All right, so I took a minute and unpacked the rest of these components. As you can see, always throws in a nice couple stickers and individually bags and identifies each and every screw. Now this is the second one of these that I've installed, so I already know for a fact that it always comes with a couple extra screws and washers, which if you know anything about working on boats, you're going to lose a screw somewhere. So having a few extras when you're building something like this helps. So I want to give a shout out to the guys at Bass Boat Technologies. That's probably one of the best ideas I've seen yet. Extra screws are always a bonus. So this is going to be this piece that goes on the right hand side. Mounts the right hand graphs. These are our backing plate and spacer. That's going to go where the old ride screen was. We're back. I've taken the time to take the old graph off, the old mounting hardware, and making sure that I've got the right wires. So you can see I've got my Ethernets and my powers. I've got everything labeled, my NEMA networks to both graphs. That's really important because you don't want to be pulling this thing on and off half a dozen times. With this boat here, I'm going to be adding a NEMA or an Ethernet sonar hub because I've got way more Ethernet plugs than I know what to do with. So one thing I wanted to show you in this part of the video is how to remove the touchscreen. This is something that I wasn't sure about the first time I've done this, so I'm going to show you. So I've loosened the bolts off. I'm going to reach in behind, loosen the bolts off. I'm going to slide that out, and I'm going to take off both the Ethernet to the boat and the power connector so that I can remove the touchscreen completely. Now, what I want to show you is how easy it is to remove and loosen these bolts now that I've got it out. So all you've got to do is loosen the wing nuts and slide these little swing clamps over. And there's 4 on each side so that you can loosen that touchscreen. Now, these aren't going to be used during the installation process. So you can take them right off because it comes with brackets to hold this on the new mount. So again, that's the back of the touchscreen. Still got its protective cover on. We'll remove that when we're done. And you can see that's I've mounted the Ethernet sonar hub inside the dash. I just felt it made a lot more sense. All the wires are already coming here from the previous install anyways. So I'm going to continue to leave those wires here. I've got NEMA 2000, I've got a power cable run for each, I've got the original wires from the touchscreen set aside, got everything kind of laid out. I mocked everything up, I hooked everything up, tested it to make sure that everything was talking to each other, sharing maps, sharing waypoints, everything else. So I've kind of done my little mock-up, tested all my wiring because I want to make sure that everything's seated in location and ready to go when I start to mount this hardware. So taking the liberty of mounting the gimbal brackets on the main part of the frame that's going to go in my main panel here. These pieces here are going to go, basically spacer's going to go right in front. Backing plate's going to go in behind there. And then from there, this main part is going to bolt through the spacer plate into that backer right like that, and then that original or that main bracket is going to go here and bolt onto these 2 spots. So after I pull these wires through and get this connected, we'll touch base in a second. All right, I skipped ahead a little bit just to kind of install some of these larger components that didn't really need to be seen. So what we have now is we have our main backing plate bolted to that plate we discussed earlier that sandwiched the spacer and the backing plate through a couple bolts. Each screw comes with its own little black cap, you know, and hide those screws nicely. That's kind of a handy little feature. On the back of each graph, you're going to have a wire guard. We'll just need a little bit of adjusting once I kind of fine tune things. I've got all my wires ran. Ethernet, power, NEMA 2000. I've got a TM165 HW and a 3-in-1 ran to the main 12-inch, which is going to be on the right hand side, as well as NEMA and Ethernet as well on this side. Again, a power. One point, I did run the iTroll. It's going to be set up on that bracket we discussed earlier. And make sure you have all your wires ran. I almost forgot to put that one in. Luckily I caught that in time. So, the last part I want to show you here is going to be the touchscreen brackets. So again, when I was first looking into these, I didn't really understand how it was going to be done, so that's why I feel it's important to touch base on this point. Once you remove those swing bolts off the back of the touchscreen and we no longer need them for the finish of the install, these brackets are going to go with the included bolts on the back of the touchscreen, and they're going to hold that tight against this bracket. So both sides, I've got one installed now. I'm going to install the other one. You can easily reach up in behind there, but definitely something that I was always curious how we were going to do that. So those are interesting little brackets that they're going to hold in our ride command from Ranger. All right, guys, here's the wrap-up portion of the installation video of our Bass Boat Technologies Duel 12 on a Ranger 621 2022 FS Pro. So as you can see, we've got everything exactly where we want it. I've taken a lot of time just to make some final adjustments. Tipped the screens back just slightly. I ended up moving this screen back an inch so that I've got a little bit more room for knuckle movement when the steering wheel's in this location, which is my preferred method, so that I can get my knees in and out easily without bouncing off anything. As you can see, the ride screens moved down on the lower portion of the new bracket. We added the iTroll bracket in order to mount the iTroll. That's something I didn't show earlier, but it's got 4 screws that come with it that screw directly into the back. Good and solid, no bounce, no movement, easy to access. I can still get in and use the throttle lever easily without bouncing my knuckles off of that. Everything I did notice is by moving that back, that does allow me to get that sun cover on and off easily without having to force it on both of those. So that's a very important part, just to make sure everything's functional and easy to access, including the door. I did all the updates on all the units on this boat today, so everything's up to date. I have these in simulation mode just so that we can kind of put a picture on the screen during the video, but I'm pretty happy. Good solid mount, no bounce, no vibration, good clean look. Very happy with the overall completion of this product. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. Thanks for your time.